Hi, I'm Wax Lives. I think it's time we play a little 7 Days to Die. Alright. Come on, go down the ladder. Man, there we go. I don't know what it is with me not being able to go up and down this ladder. I wonder if I shouldn't, yeah, I'll do it when I get back. Sometimes I build a little, like, box around the end of that thing. So that, I can run straight at it and not go flinging out into the middle of nowhere. I should probably do that. See if I can't, make it easier for me to get up and down the ladder. Because clearly it takes me multiple tries to get through there, so... well, I think I'm going to head over here and get a new quest, because that's what I've been enjoying lately, is doing the quests, so... We'll go grab something new here, and see what kind of trouble I can get up into. So we did manage to play some D&D this week. No, we played Starfinder this week. Which was the game that I run. Man, I'll tell you what, though. I really don't think I like Starfinder. I think there's just too much going on. And I don't have the time to sit down and learn a new, a whole new system. And there's just so many little picky rules about how combat works and stuff. That just doesn't flow naturally for me, I guess. I'm not saying it's necessarily a bad system. I'm just saying it's a bad system for me. And then I absolutely despise the idea that your basic... I know, I complain about this a lot, and I complained about it when we were playing the game the other night, but I play a class called the Operative, and they've got this thing called the Trick Attack, right? And it's like the only ability you basically get for your class, and levels are way...
I guess I can stand your smell.
Yeah, you know, this guy hasn't taken a shower ever, so I can understand that. Let's do fetch and clear, I think.
Word of advice. Next time, bathe before you come do a job.
So you got this trick attack thing, right? And so it adds a debuff to the person you're attacking. And you get to do extra damage. And so, in my mind, it's basically the sneak attack of D&D. But in D&D, if you manage to land your attack, you get your sneak attack damage. In Starfinder, Starfinder is just super frustrating with the way they do attacks to me, and so, for example, all right, I guess I have to break this down a little deeper than I intended. So basically, we'll start with D&D. So in D&D, you go out and you get in a fight and you got your weapons, right? And so you take your attack with your weapon, and basically in combat you get one action and a bonus action No, you get one action. Sometimes you've got an ability that you can use called a bonus action, but not everybody has access to bonus actions all the time. And so you might get 1 or 2 attacks, or once you go up more levels, you get, you know, more attacks depending on your class. And so basically you're looking at combat as, I'm going to attack once, and I might move, and then my turn is over. And so then those attacks that you make, if they're... Oh, yep. This tricks me every time, man. Can I just cut across through here? And so those attacks are like... I swing my sword, alright? Now there's different kinds of swords, and they all do different kinds of damage. And they mostly focus on the strength attribute, you know, how strong you are, to determine if they do any extra damage or how well you hit with it. Which is fine. And so you swing your weapon, you swing your sword, you got like +2 to your strength. You get to add a +2 when you roll the dice to see if you hit. You get to add a +2 to the damage when you hit. Pretty simple. Some swords are finesse swords. And so, finesse swords... Oh, okay. So, in my mind, this is how it works. If a sword is a slashing sword, you know, you're going to take a big, huge swing and try to basically shove this chunk of metal through your opponent. That's a strength-based sword attack. Strength-based sword. So, like a great sword, a long sword. Now, I know that in real life that there's lots of different ways to use these weapons, and it falls apart if you apply real-life logic. But in the game, it appears to me that when you're swinging a weapon, that's a slash. That's a strength-based. I didn't mean it was a slash. I meant it was a strength-based attack. So you swing a club, you swing a sword, right? Strength. If you use a lighter sword and you stab with it, a lot of those weapons have the finesse property. And so then you can apply dexterity instead of strength. And so it gives you options for the type of character you're playing. So if you're playing, you know, a big, strong fighter, then you would use your strength. But if you're using a you know, more lithe, precision fighter, you know, where you're stabbing for specific points on the body, then you're going to use dexterity. And the thing is, though, is that if you use dexterity, it works the same as strength on this weapon. And so where if you're swinging it hard, then you add your strength to your attack roll, you add it to your damage roll. But if you're stabbing for a specific point, then you might go with dex. And so you add your dex. Now the weapons, now you don't choose to switch back and forth usually. Most of the time you're going to be better at one or the other. So if you're better at strength, then you're going to go with strength as your weapon type attack, because it doesn't matter in D&D how the attack is made for the most part. All right, let's see if we can find a different way in than oh, here we go. Here we go. Oh, I was wrong. I thought this would be the way in. This must be the way out, right? We'll come around from the other side and open that gate. I'll tell you what, though. This might be a bad idea, because it's approaching nighttime quickly. So... I wish my guy's leg wasn't broken. Oh, how about we go up here? I totally didn't see that ladder when I was over here earlier. So, so you pick one or the other. You don't do both, usually. I'm not saying somebody might not do that. They might not pick both. But most people are going to stick with one or the other and go from there. I don't know which way I'm supposed to go here. Oh, well, right here. Woo. Yes. Oh man. There's just a lot of red on my... A lot of red on my map. Oh. That guy gave me a concussion from my feet. He's concussed my feet. Come on, there's some more red. Where's this guy at? Why are you not? There you are. So... then you might use a ranged weapon, right? So ranged weapons are, for the most part, precision-based weapons. So in my mind, dex. That's the rules. I'm not saying that those are my rules. I'm just saying that my thought process behind why they would use dex for ranged and strength for attacking is because precision plays a part. And so the precision of trying to hit a specific point versus just swinging away to see how much damage you can do. And so ranged weapons, though, they work just like melee weapons. You add your dex modifier to the roll to hit, and you add your dex modifier to the damage. Again, to me, that's because you're aiming for a specific point. So if you hit, that extra damage is because you hit well. Now, Starfinder doesn't work this way. Starfinder has specific rules on all melee are strength-based. Period. All ranged weapons are dex-based. Period. And you don't do any extra damage with ranged weapons. And so you roll up your fighter class. I forget, soldier, I think they're called in Starfinder. You roll up your soldier, and he uses a melee weapon, and he gets in there with his strength, and he swings his melee weapon, and he adds his strength to the attack, and to the attack roll, and then he adds his strength to the... does that say the box is below me? Apparently I need to be down a floor here. Yep, there it is. Cool. So now we just have to finish clearing the areas. And so, you know, so that works pretty similar to D&D. But ranged weapons, you only add the dex. And you only add the dex to the attack roll. You don't add it to the damage. And that kind of sucks. Because all of a sudden your melee weapons are doing more damage than your ranged weapons. And so anyone who's a ranged fighter is basically taking a penalty to their weapon because they're ranged, I guess. Which would be fine if the ranged weapons did more damage, but they don't. They don't do any more damage than the melee weapons. And you know, and then the ranged fighters probably aren't wearing the heavy armor that the melee people are. And so I mean, sure, I guess it's fine that you want to penalize them for their oh, dang it. I knew I couldn't do this at night. Now my motorbike is like a million miles away. But hey, this will fix my broke leg, right? But yeah, so I don't like it. I don't like that you don't add dex to your ranged attacks. I think that's ridiculous. I think that I don't understand why you would take away the damage, I guess. Maybe I was reading that Starfinder has less hit points than D&D, so maybe it's because of that. But still, and that's not the one that makes me the angriest. And this is what makes me the angriest. So I play a class called Operative. Yeah, there we go. Now I feel better. I can run straight forward and get on the ladder. So the Operative is the Starfinder equivalent to Rogue. So in D&D, Rogue has sneak attack. Most of the time, Rogue abilities are based off of dexterity and not strength. And so, rogues tend, and sneak attack only works with light weapons. And so, or is it finesse weapons? I think it's light weapons. And so, a weapon has to have the light property, which means it doesn't weigh a lot, for them to be able to do their sneak attacks. And most of those weapons are also finesse weapons, which means I think they're all finesse weapons. If it's light, it's also finesse. Maybe not. Maybe that's not true. I'd have to look at the list. But so as a rogue, you are looking at light finesse weapons or a light ranged weapon, like a short bow. And so you do your sneak attacks based off that, but the weapons you use are also based off of dex. And so you apply your dexterity modifier because it's finesse. You can use either strength or dex, or it's a ranged weapon, so you use dex. And there are some ranged weapons that use strength, um, but most of them are dex based. And so, that's all good and fine for D&D. But in Starfinder, you have to use operative weapons, and there aren't very many operative weapons. There's just a tiny, tiny amount compared to the number of weapons available to a rogue. And so I basically at first level, I've only got one weapon, and it's the combat knife. Uh, Now um, in D&D, you can use two daggers on your rogue, and you can do, oh crap. That was an impressive whine after I shot your face off. Uh, so, so my operative, right? So my operative, he uses this knife. Okay, I'm sorry. In D&D, a rogue will probably carry two daggers or some kind of equivalent, and then that way they take their first attack to see if they hit, and if they do hit, they apply their sneak attack damage, or if they miss, then they can try their bonus attack using their offhand. That's the thing that you can do in D&D. That's not possible for sneak attack in Starfinder. Starfinder's turns work differently. You have basically two actions that you can do on your turn. One's usually the action, and one is the move action. But some abilities require a full action. And you can also attack twice on your turn with a -4 penalty to your attack rolls, and that's called a full action as well. There's actually a lot of different things you can do on your turn that's different from D&D, which makes it super, super confusing most of the time to me and the players. Because there's so many new rules, and none of us have taken the time to really learn the game. Um, and But so here I am with my operative, right? So if I was a rogue in D&D, I'd be like, all right, I'm going to attack with my dagger. I'm a dex-based fighter, so it's a finesse weapon. I apply my dex to my attack roll. I apply my dex to my damage. I hit. I get to add my sneak attack. An operative goes, all right, I'm going to use my full action, which in this case allows me to move to my target. Then I'm going to roll to see if I hit, but because I'm using a melee weapon, even though my class is a dex-based class, I didn't have very many points put into strength, so I don't get any bonuses to my attack roll. So it's just a flat D20. And then on top of that, because it's a melee weapon and it's automatically strength based, I also, when I hit, don't get to add any extra damage to the attack. So it's a flat 1d4 that I do for damage. And then if I do hit, then I roll for my particular class, I roll a stealth check against the 20 plus the CR of the mob. Should have just shot that guy. And so you know, we're fighting something. It's a half CR. That means I've got to get at least a 21 on my roll. But I have a plus 10 to my stealth checks. All right. So I only need to roll an 11 or higher. Let me tell you what, I can't do it. I cannot get both the check and the attack roll to land on this character. I think I've managed... I want to say once in our entire campaign so far, I have once managed to land both the check and the attack roll. And I think the check is stupid. I think if I'm using my full action to make a single attack with a weapon that I don't have any bonuses for because it doesn't use dex, it only uses strength, that it's stupid. It's just stupid that I have to make 2 checks. One of them I don't get any bonuses to, and if I do hit, I only am doing 2d4 damage because I don't get to add any bonuses to the attack damage because I don't have a huge strength, which isn't part of the operative class. The operative class is based around dex. Who designed this system like this? I hate it. It makes me so angry when I'm playing. And then I attempt to do the default ability that an operative has, and it never works. And then we go and play D&D, and the rogue is just like, oh yeah, I missed with my first attack. Let me take my offhand attack. Oh, there I hit. Let's roll my sneak attack damage. I'm just like, why is this like this? Why do I have to make a special check to see if I can hit these guys? Now I can understand if, like, you have to be in stealth before you can do the sneak attack. You have to hide, right? That's not the same thing because passive perception is way lower than the number I have to hit. I think I attacked 4 times this week. And all 4 of those times I attempted to do my trick attack. And all 4 of those attempts, I rolled less than 10. I just roll less than 10 constantly. And so it super sucks. And I told him, I'm like, I love the idea of a sci-fi campaign, but I'm not going to play it in Starfinder, which is awful because Starfinder is a sci-fi TTRPG, and I just hate it. I'll just convert D&D. I was doing it once before. I had a sci-fi campaign. I was making up my own items. It worked fine. I just, I spent all this money on Starfinder just to find out that I hate it. Which is super sad to me because I really wanted to like it. And it's just so grindy rules-wise. And I hate the fact that I picked the rogue class to do rogue things. And there are no rogue things to do. I don't know. Because it's sci-fi, right? And so we're playing a pre-built campaign. And so we go along, and the pre-built campaign, any door that's locked is basically a computer check. Not a lockpick, a computer check. Or an engineering check, because it's sci-fi. So there's no thieves' tools like in D&D. You don't look to your rogue to unlock things. I don't think we've really dealt with any real traps, and the traps... That's not true. We did come across some traps, but the traps are also engineering or computer checks. And guess what? We have a mechanic on the team. So the mechanic does all that stuff. what's the point of my operative? I've got nothing to do. I can't land my trick attack. Um, and we literally have 4 people on the team. All 4 of the people are specialized in computers. All 4 of us have high rolls when it comes to computers. I'm not needed to pick doors. I'm not needed to, like I said, I can't land my trick attack, so I don't do damage during combat. Um, you know, it's great when you roll 3 times to see if you can manage to do something, and you come away doing 1 point of damage because you don't get to add anything to your damage, and the only weapon you're allowed to use for your special, to be able to use your special ability, is a 1d4 combat knife that you only get to swing 1 time during your whole turn. And within 3 turns, combat's over. You know, and I don't know. It's such a clunky, unfortunately for me, a very clunky, unfun system. And so I told him, I'm like, yeah, we finished this fight we're in. It's the last fight of the book we're on. The book is the first part of the campaign, and it's split into like 3 or 4 books. I'm just like, I don't know if we'll ever come back to this because I'm just not enjoying running this at all. And yeah, unfortunately, I don't find it enjoyable. Uh, and then I wanted to talk about, I should have moved a little faster on this complaining about Starfinder. What do we even do? We continue fighting in the building we're in. This will be our 4th week, I think. Our 4th session. I think this was our 3rd session, actually. Our 3rd session of fighting in this building because people don't show up on time. And we only get like an hour or less to play. And so we actually cleared 2 fights, which is more than we normally get to in a night. There's only a couple of more rooms left, and then we'll be done. So I think the next session, or it might be 2 sessions, because of how slow we move, we might be able to get through all of that. Which will be awesome. And then we'll probably go back to Demon Plague, which I really should be working on getting loaded up because I want to use my Foundry, which is a different server than what we normally use, that we've been using for Starfinder. I'm also kind of looking into setting up a Wild West game. I found a D&D Wild West conversion. There are TTRPGs, tabletop RPGs that are Western, but I've decided that I'd rather do a D&D conversion because I'm much more comfortable using that system. And so yeah. Oh, you know what? I want to look at some of this ammo I don't use. Can we sort this? Thank you. I wanted to see what I get. Why are you in there? Why are you? Oh, your explosions. I wanted to see what I get for scrapping some of this ammo types I don't use. So that's brass. And then that's lead. Cool. I think this is paper, right? Oh no, it's more lead. Oh shoot, it was paper. Cool, I don't use this stuff, so I'm gonna turn this into brass and lead. What do you convert into? More brass. Alright. So yeah, I'll tear that stuff down. Real quick, I want to talk about a movie I did watch this week. I watched a movie called Vesper. It's a sci-fi movie, and it was interesting at the start, but by the time it got to the end, I was just like, I don't know what the point was now. It was a post-apocalyptic movie, but like everything had been genetically modified, and so um, there's like big dome cities where the elite live, and you never see those people pretty much. And um, and so they the people who live outside the domes, and there aren't many left, live in like this weird, hostile, almost alien world at this point. Like the animals and the vegetation are all way different than what we have because they've been genetically modified mutants, And but they trade with the dome cities, and the dome cities give them grain to plant, seeds. It's not grain, seeds I meant. And but the seeds only work one time. So it's basically how we do crops now, right? If you're not aware, most crops planted are one and dones. You buy your seeds, you plant your seeds, but they're modified so that they don't turn into seeds that you can replant with. Um, uh, and so not everything is that way, but a lot of big farms, when they buy their seeds don't germinate to the point where they can. Is germinate the right word? They don't fertilize um, to become like they don't turn into the kind of plant that you use to plant the next batch of seeds. There's the reasoning is there. Well, I mean, obviously, probably the big reasoning is it makes the seed companies more money. But the other reason is that uh, the non-mature versions of the crops are better to eat, no, tastier to eat, probably, and and so if they don't ever enter that stage, then you have longer to harvest them and stuff. Is my understanding. And anyways, so that's what they've done in this movie. So they get their seeds, they plant their seeds, they harvest their crops, but they can't use those seeds to like they can't dry the plant and then replant the plant the next time. And so anyways, so then they have genetically modified slave people called jugs. I assume it's because they're grown in a lab. I kind of missed the explanation for the term, but uh, the these people show up. They crash their plane. The guy dies. He was a dome dweller. But he had with him a woman who was Jug he modified to be intelligent, like well, basically just had a regular human with him, but he hid in her DNA the keys to unlock the plants. Why is that so bright down there? There's not a light over that, is there? It's just like a. Oh no, there is. It's right there. Why is that one lit up? I don't see any more lit up anywhere out there here. We got one bright spot in the city here. This is a weird thing in this game is that there are lights on, but there's no power supplies. Oh, there looks like something's on fire. Anyways, let's finish this story so we can get done here. And so it was all right, and they had to go on the run, and the dome people are coming after him because they basically broke the law. He broke the law by making her intelligent, and then on top of that, I think they realized that she has the key to unlocking the seeds, and the people who find them, the one girl, she can unlock the seeds with that other woman's DNA and allow them to, be able to be grown more naturally. And so then they go on the run and they reach this town it's being built by, I don't know, some kind of weird offshoot of the regular people. Like it's like a I don't want to say gang, but it's like a weird sect. Let's go with sect. And nobody knows what they're doing, and nobody talks to them. And then they built this big tower, and when they get there, the girl, she climbs the tower to the top, and she's got a handful of seeds that she fixed with that other woman's DNA already. And she looks one direction, and there's a dome city, and she looks the other direction, and there's a big open plain, and she just opens her hand and lets the seeds blow away in the wind. I don't even know what the point of that was. Like it was okay, like when they were on the run and they were trying to get that woman and stuff. But I don't know why she just climbed to the top of the tower at the end of the movie and let the seeds blow away. It wasn't like she was replanting the world. She just threw away her seeds. Things are gonna eat them now, or they're not gonna land where they're gonna grow. I don't. I have the last 12 seeds that can be planted to save humanity. I'm going to throw them away in the wind and hope something doesn't eat them. Or, they land, in a tree where they're not going to grow, or not close enough to water, or, anything like that. So I don't know. It was an all right movie at the beginning, and it just got weird at the end. I don't understand the ending, but all right with that. Be bright in the small things, lean to the light, and I will talk to you later.